What's everyone? I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, thank you to everyone for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the love and support everyone sends my way. From the Kora, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you. Also, do please like, share, subscribe, and hype video. Is it if it's somewhat to your understanding and like. Gracias. Well, everyone, as I stated on the live earlier today, I do want to touch on what being taught about, you know, and I hear it, and I be honest with you, I laugh. There's a lot of pros and cons to everything. Everything that has to do with prison, getting out, and what you're doing, your activities, X, 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 right? But as always, I want to talk about me on this one. For example, you hear about good standings. Good standings is when you go to prison, like for example, myself, right? I never sidetracked it. I never hesitated. I never speak about pegadas, but you guys know I got a 187 for the cause. Did what I had to do. Tough in the shoe, even though we weren't getting out of it, being lifers, you know. And as a camarada, you were called to bat. What you were going through personal don't really mean anything, right? I was going through cancer at the moment and they popped my door 3 times with the blood, a bulldog, and a gabacho that he really ran his mouth a lot. You know, it ain't important. That last one was a bulldog and in reality was a blessing in disguise, right? Because things surfaced in that because they took me out to court, which was rare because of my sentencing, right? And my lawyer found a technicality that would eventually put my butt on the street. But anyways, not losing track, I want to dissect everything, see if it makes sense, right? For one, we speak about good standings. Good standings is a homie that goes into prison. He holds his ground for the causa. He steps up to bat, does what he has to do, go through the shoot program, gets up to the 180 and paroles. He completed his mission day from day in, day out. And that's good standings. That's you being able to go back to your neighborhood, right? And everything's firmes with you. Now, a lot of people tend to miss good standings with active, being active. So again, using myself as an example, I did 23 years, 11 months straight. When I got out the feds, I was a camarada. period, point blank. There was nothing higher than a campolero and a camarada, and I got out with guidelines to follow, to do things for evil at the main point, right? But Daryl as well and other Pilis that were involved in the Mexican faction. Keep in mind, I don't know none of these individuals but Daryl, right? But again, dispuesto, that's where my heart was at. That's where my mind was at. You know, a lot of people call me an idiot for instead of paroling and saying I did my time and go off and do my thing with my family. I didn't even check in with my family. You know, the first camarada I checked in with was from OC and it was being tested and going through the struggles of Mexico, right? Start looking what was in Mexico and what wasn't in Mexico for us. And which was cool, you know. If you're a smart individual, you blend in right away to your surroundings. That's being active. When I was active, homies, I didn't come on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I gave about YouTube, who was on YouTube, what they were speaking on, nothing, right? It was the least I could carry a phone, the better. That's why we went up to the mountains. We established a line of communication. They called in, said they wanted to talk to us. We went down, talked, got our orders, and stayed in the shadows. That's what's being active. You know, there ain't no such thing as an active individual on YouTube. Those are facts. Now, we mix trash with inactive or you being in good standings in the form of you did what you had to do, you came home, made a family, made a job, which is, as camarada, you should be proud of a homie, right? From your neighborhood or not. And you could still go to them carne asadas to your neighborhood and or at least invite camaradas, you know, and todo bien, right? Someone on the live asked me today, do what I speak on automatically put me on the lista? No. Straight up, no. You see, homie, I've been reached around the bush. I know what I can speak on and what I can't. For example, everything I speak on is there in writing, has been proven. I don't think I've ever spoken on something that is not there for you to look up, right? That's one. Two, I got okie doke. You know, that whatever years I put in for the cause, it didn't matter when it was a come up for them. And that's the most common thing, right? Is the reason to have me step back, not go weenie, not go speak to the Federicos. You don't hear me speak about people did and got away with. You know, I don't speak on that. And that's the difference. Homies can come on YouTube. They could speak their story. They could speak what they did. You got caught, firmes. The problem lies when you start lying and you start speaking. You get so comfortable on the internet that you start speaking on things, trying to be the más chingón and act like, oh, I did 10 pegadas and I got away with them. What do you think the Federicos are thinking about that? Where you did him at, who you did him with. At the end of the day, you're supporting the Federicos, right? Something I would never do. I'll put a bullet in my head before then, believe me. You know, and that didn't really match much, excuse me, due to being in my deathbed, right? Per se. But, I want to say something real clear. I don't get into the MS business. Period. You guys can say here and I tell my stories and it's what I lived. But what they're doing today, where they come to get it from, imagine me having a grudge involving my family and cutting off that supply, that avenue. They come to the ranch, we see each other. They go about their hustle. I go about, you don't tell me nothing, I don't tell you nothing. There will be a time where, you know, times one's best friend will meet and I'll be taken out or whatever, right? I don't know the anything. I put many things. I lost my freedom many times for the cause to get the results I got, right? That's why you never hardly hear me speak about camaradas, because that's all I was, camarada. But I do want to end this with there's a lot of active per se individuals that come on the comments. They always speak about, oh, you're speaking on things. Look it up. It's there. Either I got busted, someone got busted, but it's there. I could literally touch on so many things that I don't really think you guys comprehend, right? But I'm in a place where if I was to do that, the minute I walk the door of my own uncle or family, they will put a bullet in my head, right? Plus, I was never raised like that. That's why I didn't get involved in their business. They still come around the ranch, do their thing. We just don't speak to each other that often, right? I'm still in good with a lot of homies out here doing their things. A lot of homies I did times with. And that ain't never gonna change because I believe myself to be a fair individual when it came to the push. Forget the pegadas. Forget the running Hardines. Forget the 187s. All that don't really mean anything, you know. But also see, there's a lot of sureños on the internet. There's nothing wrong with that. You could be in good standings. Again, you completed your mission, right? In and out. you're still in good standings. That's what it should be about. But someone asked me, would they put you on the hat? And it's not just for me. In case you mean because of what I speak on, no. That wouldn't, it wouldn't even be a factor, right? They wouldn't come around me or I wouldn't run across them in Culiacan and everybody on their side of the sidewalk, right? It's, there's time limits. You could be a sureño your whole life. Get out, have a little rant, maybe with some promises. You complete them, you go about your life. Familia, work, the things that you should strive for, right? Anyone. And then there's a camarada, a campolero, where you're dedicated to the cause fully with the pilis. There is a time limit. What I mean by that is you get out as a camarada, you go off, hey, in so much time you don't do nothing to bring feria to the table, you don't check in, you don't know nothing, you're automatically no good. It don't matter what you did, what you've been doing on the street, there's a big difference. I know a lot of people throw the names, good status, being trash, being Southsider, Sureño, Camarada, Campolero. There is levels to it. So, a lot of people feel so secure. Oh, I got out. I've been maintaining clean. I got my family. That's what you should do. But in the eyes of those inside, you outsounded. You abandoned. You're going to get out and answer for it. There's no buts or ifs about it, you know. And yeah, maybe sometimes you speak about something that it might not should be out there, even though it's in writing, right? But that could be clear, 100%. If you word something, it's gonna be clear. I'm gonna give you a big example, right? Imagine me coming from being a camarada for, I don't know, over 20 years, would you say, like, and things unfolded as they unfolded. I held my ground, state, feds in the states, state prisons, ceferesos, federales in Mexico. For those that know Mexico, it means a lot. You know, I got done point blank over greed, over someone thinking or having that Tecato mentality I could get over and get away with things, right? I didn't allow it. So I never display this though. I just pull back. So imagine anyone comes up to me and calls me out my name. I went in 1996. I got out 2018 September. Exactly 23 years 11 months. Two before way. and about 4 in Mexico doing time. And if you know what's doing time in Mexico for us is doing time. And I don't get in the way. We just ain't cool. And I'm not speaking about camaradas. Amen them, my respects, but we're just not there no more. And I had Pilis, active Pilis today, tell me, hey Chino, we understand and respect it. So that's why I just laugh when people tell me like, oh, you this, you that, you this, you that. Homeboy, everybody has a walk in their career. My walk don't compare to anybody's. No one's walk compares to me. There's some lucky homies that go in, right? Nothing happens by the time they're there. They parole clean from a level 4 180. Hey, they don't come back. They do their family thing. There's nothing wrong with that individual, right? He's in good standings. And it means a lot. In this video, I was going to touch on the other side. You talk about no good rats, people that step back and drop out, go to the other side. And I said it once, I'll say it again. There's good people there that are there for no reason at all. But there are also those people that are snakes that got in debt, burnt the M, you know, did a camarada wrong and then locked it up. And then you got the worst ones. You got the rats, number one place that will testify not only inactive brief, but will go up to court and point fingers and give people life sentences. And then you got the debriefers that are always going to tell you, oh, I only told on myself. But I don't need to speak on it. As I heard today from somebody, the life that individual boxer is taking care of, showing you what a debriefing is. You're going to tell about everything. So don't be misguided about, well, I just told about myself, nobody got hurt. You won't complete a debrief like that. Again, I'm green behind the years on the THU program, the program, but there's a lot that comes afterwards. Once you start debriefing, you might not be MA, but you're an associate. So for sure, the squad thinks or knows you're going to speak. So don't allow them people to get in your head. Just do you. The best option to avoid everything I'm just speaking of is stay out, do your thing for your neighborhood, but also make sure let it come a time where you stay for yourself, you stay true to yourself. By doing so, stay loyal to family, to those that love you and have been loyal to you. I'll make this one short. God bless everyone. I should have said good morning. It's one of them crazy nights for me. You guys know why. It's 5 in the morning and it's one of them hard nights, you know. It ain't pleasant when you're raised since 6 years old on how to take someone's life and for it to be shown to you that it's the simplest thing in the world, which it is. Taking a Sarah being lives is easy, but look at me. In my last days, dying days, I have no peace because unfortunately I was one of them scanners ones where if someone had to go and I knew he was in the right, he was going to go. I wasn't going to hesitate because that's what I believe in. In other words, there is no right or wrong in this. I'm against debriefers, them fools that testified in court, them fools that bring dope bits and they're locking it up from yard to yard, making fun of camaradas and those that have an arm. Let me finish with something. I believe to every homie, the worst of the people that mess with kids and families. So I leave with this question. What would you do if you get to a yard, you read an individual's paperwork, he rapes a 11, 12-year-old little girl to the point guts are involved, right? And you as a man, what are you gonna do? You run it up the line and a Billy tells you he's paying me, he's off hands, he's touched, that's your butt and everybody involved with you. You as a camarada, what's your next step? Buenas noches, everyone. P.S. There is a big difference from somebody dropping out, debriefing, snitch, and you doing your thing, things happen, and you decide to step back and you stop getting in the way of what they're doing. Let me put it to you like this. If any Sureño will come and tell me and this and that, imagine me bringing my family to my personal stuff and cutting off that pipeline of dope that they're receiving from them, the prices that, I'm going to tap myself on the back, but I had a big picture in making it happen, you know. So at all times, my advice is sit down, analyze things, and really picture them through. Especially for those that like to come on YouTube and call pesetas, rats, debriefers. Yes, there is those. There's individuals that rat it since they were in YA. Others so tough, they felt the rope around their neck, lasted a few months, and they locked it up, debrief. So, my base advice is always that learn from everybody what they put out Most importantly, make your own decision on everything. Gracias. Buenas noches.
This is what we started. We always